on the road to recovery, Castle Rock, Colorado. Live from Millville, New Jersey, I'm on the road to recovery. We're on the road to recovery in Morgantown, West Virginia at Mountaineer Field. And live in Scranton, Pennsylvania, I'm on the road to recovery. Here I am on the road to recovery from Berlin, Maryland. Hey, from Caseville, Michigan, I'm on the road to recovery. I'm on the road to recovery at Ann Arbor, University of Michigan.
My name is Jennifer Gimenez, and you're watching The Road to Recovery. Well, my family's from Argentina. I'm first generation born in America. My parents decided to come to America, California, and have an American child. Name me one of the most common names, Jennifer, and then raise me back in Argentina. And my family were very intermeshed. Everyone's always together. At night, I remember this visual. My families and neighbors in Argentina would come over, and everybody would be over. I have to call everyone aunts and uncles who really weren't my aunts and uncles, and aunts and uncles too. And I remember the tables were really long, and they were filled with so much food. And this visual I always remember. They had the drinks on the floor because there was so much food on the table that the more they poured, the longer the parties lasted. I remember people drinking and having a good time. I always equated drinking to joy. We'd come back and forth to the States. My parents realized that my little brother and I would probably have more opportunities in America than in Argentina. So at 6.5, my mom and dad sacrificed everything, their friends, their families, their careers, and we moved back to California. I grew up in a very, I'll call it, American neighborhood. I'm from California, born in California, do not look like the typical California girl. I grew up in that neighborhood where, you know, everyone spoke English. I didn't speak English. I had to learn it in school. And I remember in school, all these kids, there were so many cliques, you know, in school, and like there's no clique I could fit in. And there was these two girls and they ruled the school, and I just wanted to be part of their group. I remember, you know, taking care of my brother one day, making him a sandwich, and looking over into my dining room where my parents had a liquor cabinet. And I thought, you know, I just want to feel like they did in Argentina, because I equated drinking to happy. And I went and I got this cup and I poured all these different liquor bottles into that cup, and I took my first drink. And to me, that perception still stays with me. It felt like when it went down into my throat, it got into my stomach, it was kind of warm and fuzzy, and all of a sudden it hit my gut, and I just felt like a cross between the Jolly Green Giant, Wonder Woman, and She-Ra. Like I felt like I had arrived. I was 13 years old. I was at the Santa Monica Pier with my mom, my little brother on a Sunday afternoon, and this photographer named Bruce Weber came up to us, and he said I had the right look and if I could shoot this thing for this huge designer, and he was a legit photographer, and he asked me if I could show up the next day. And of course my mom was a little hesitant, and I convinced her to let me show up the next day. And my life went from growing up in Buenos Aires, Argentina, where there was dirt roads and donkeys running around everywhere, to becoming a supermodel overnight. I've been on almost every magazine cover all over the world. I've done catwalks all over the world. I've done a bunch of music videos with like Tupac, which is always cool to say because I love Tupac. I've had billboards in New York Times Square, and my life was like this. I was a normal kid that went to public high school from my freshman to my senior year, except I'd only go to school like 2 months out of the year. I was taking care of my family. I was providing for them as well, and I was dealing with traumas and issues with my family, and I was thrown in this adult entertainment world where I was literally selling sex when I didn't even know what that was about. It was all about my outsides, you know, that's what they programmed me. In my early teenage years, when they say, you know, you learn about self-worth, self-dignity, self-esteem, integrity, I was taught that I was only as good as my next job cover campaign. It was all about the outsides. And I didn't develop those you know, important qualities in a human being in that early teenage years. Drugs and alcohol, I was like a trash can. I tried many things. You know, what drugs and alcohol did for me, it told me things that no one else was telling me or that I couldn't hear. It told me I was beautiful. It told me, you know, I mattered. It told me that I was invincible. I was smart. It would never leave me. It would never abandon me. It told me all these things until it stopped telling me. I tried cocaine, which is my drug of choice, when I was close to 18 years old. And I gotta tell you, for me, that first line, that line gave me a heartbeat like nothing else ever has. I remember I was at my mom's house in my bedroom, and I found myself in this rocking, moving forward motion, like in repetitive statement over and over again. What I was saying was, like, how am I gonna figure this out? How am I gonna figure this out? And all of a sudden I went, I know how I'm gonna figure this out. I'm gonna go get a little bit more. I'm gonna cop one more time. I'll take a little bit, and then I'll be able to handle all this. Like, how long have I been living like that? Probably for a long time, but I really felt it that day. And I'm going on the street in LA. There's this street called Fairfax. I was going north on Fairfax. There's this cross street called Fountain. I was gonna make a right in Fountain. It was early in the morning, the sun was glaring. And I look over to the building, and there's all these hot guys like hanging on the wall, like just hanging out. And I must have been turning actually slowly. There was a girl at the corner, and she was smoking. And she looked at me, she's like, it's in here. And I thought, oh my God, this must be an after hours. Like, I thought, like, because there were so many young people and they were hot, I can go in there. I've gone into after hours before in the past, and I thought I can get free drinks and drugs. And I go through these double doors on that corner in this building, and I hear all these people. I open the door, and everyone's in a circle, and they're speaking. This is their language they're speaking. Wah, 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 wah. And I'm trying to figure out what's going on. This guy stands up like a couple seats next to me, and I'm like, shit, I think you need to intro yourself before the party starts. Like, I didn't know. And I stood up and I said, my name is Jennifer, I'm like you. And they all applauded, and I waved. I don't know why I waved, but I waved. And I just went, oh no, Twilight Zone, not what I thought it was. And it was actually a meeting. That was my first meeting I ever walked into. Of all things, I walk into a meeting. And I'm gonna go get, you know, my stuff. I walked into the wrong place, wrong time. And I'm leaving, and I'm about to open those double doors, and I hear this voice, and it's actually a real voice this time, and it was the first, not the end of the voices for me. I don't have them anymore though. And I hear this guy say Jennifer, and I'm like, guy talking to me, and I turn around and I flick my hair and I try to be all seductive. I was like, yeah, jaw grinding, nose dripping, sweating. He's like, you know, there's a meeting here tomorrow at noon, you should come. And I'm like, all right, cool, thanks. And I'm thinking like he still wants me, right? You know, I showed up the next day, and I'm looking for him, you know, because he could be my future boyfriend, husband, so I thought. And I'd never seen him since. And to me, that man is my angel, my Eskimo. I'm eternally grateful for him. All he was saying that day was, keep coming back, you're welcome here. And the seed was planted. Bound to relapse. I never did any internal work. That hole, that void just got bigger and bigger. And here I am at the top of my game. I'm acting now. I get my first movie role in a movie called Blow, and with Johnny Depp and Vanilla Sky and Charlie's Angels and Sweetest Thing with Cameron Diaz, Jason Bateman, Christina Applegate. I mean, I'm doing other movies. I'm the it girl in Hollywood, and I can't stay sober. My mom and my best friend came to me, and they said, we can't watch you die like this. You need to give yourself a shot. You need to go to treatment. I ended up going to treatment. I was going under my terms, 5 days, that was max. I needed to clean up and eat anyways. I was gonna go back to my game, had a whole master plan of how I was gonna do it, when I was gonna stop, the whole thing, right? And I checked into this facility in Pasadena, and I was a woman of the world, speak 4 languages, blah, 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 and I was so scared shitless on the journey I was about to embark on. I had no idea what treatment was about. They had to detox me in the psych ward, and that day I'll never forget. going in the elevator into the psych ward unit, and they take away shoelaces, plastic, any sharp objects away from you. And I could hear my mom crying behind me, and there's 2 techs helping me up, and the doctor was in there, and they opened the elevator, and the double doors open, the double doors slammed shut, and that echo with all the from the locks, I'll never forget that. When I went to the restroom, I got up and I realized they forgot the bell. And just like that, there's no doors connecting to the bathroom and to the bedroom. I looked up and there was a bunch of objects on the ceiling, and I got on top of one of the beds and I put my belt through one of the objects. I secured it. I put my neck through there. And the last thing I remember on January 15, 2006, where my feet were dangling and everything went black. When I came to, I was in a 5-point strap, and I was so upset because I couldn't live and I couldn't die correctly. I remember this day I was in the wheelchair by the window, and I could hear a bunch of people going to the meetings downstairs, and I opened it 1/4 of an inch, and I was hanging onto the bars, and there's double windows with frost on it, and somebody was yelling at someone from far away, and people were laughing closer to me, I guess, because someone was telling a joke, and I could smell their smoke and hear all this chatter and feel this feeling that I literally couldn't understand. And I said in my head to God, I said, God, is it humanly possible for a girl like me to ever feel what they're feeling? The day of me in the wheelchair that day was my day of desperation, but then I had no game left. And those are the 2 things I desire for people who are wanting to get sober, that they have no game left, and that, you know, that they have the gift of desperation, because with that there's a beautiful blank canvas that you can create the life you want. I've hit walls in sobriety, you know, and they always told me, you'll never go wrong if you stand in your truth. You may feel a little wobbly, but you won't go wrong. And I've never gone wrong, and I've never lacked in my sobriety. I may have not gotten what I wanted, but I've never lacked. And I can't describe what the meetings do. I can describe to you what the program does and the 12 steps does. It gives me a new life and a new freedom. My will is aligned with God's will, and that I'm sober. I could become whoever I want at any given time. I may have to work for it. It doesn't always come easy. And I got into acting again, and I've done 4 or 5 movies back, and you know, from doing all these huge movies to doing these movies to being an activist to becoming, you know, I do many things today, and that's what you guys have told me. I knew a new chapter was coming, in fact, and I get a call, or I get an email from this guy named Tim Ryan, and I had respected him and watched him throughout the years, and he had watched me, and we'd, you know, go like, oh, happy birthday on a 2-year sobriety or 3-year, 4-year, whatever it was. And we supported each other, and he wanted to team up as a power couple to work in, and like we talked for like a month, and finally I'd met him, and I gotta tell you, I believed at love at first sight for you and you and you. The moment I met him, I knew it. It was over. And I'm engaged now. I'm engaged, which is so crazy. It's my first time ever. The gift that I have today is that I have a tight circle of people that absolutely love me, and that I love them, and that I walk this journey with. And I just hold one hand with God and one with the program and the people in my life, and I get by.